Good afternoon, everyone. Please rise if you're able, and we will do the Pledge of Allegiance here to start out. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to have us take a moment and think of those that have been affected up in Minneapolis and really across the country. If there's anyone else that we should keep in our thoughts and prayers, seeing none, let's just take a moment here and have a respectful moment. Okay, thank you, everyone. Please be seated. For what I understand, our only guest today, I believe, is going to be Leah. So we are going to introduce you in a little bit, but we're going to go ahead and sing a welcome song right now for that. And we don't have the words. Welcome to you from Ames Rotary, right to London or Gay Paris, the far-off lands of the USA. We're glad that you are here today. Welcome back again whenever you're near. Again, we'll make it clear. Around the world you'll always be welcome at Rotary. Thank you, Louie. We don't have the slides for birthdays and anniversaries yet, so we're going to do that at our next in-person. So if you have an anniversary, check that out, because we don't want to be the one to remind you mid-month. So we're not going to do that until the next, which will be, here's our next in-person meeting. Next week, we're online with Mark Swanson, getting to know Growing Hope globally. And then we are out here at the Plex on February 16th. We'll have Mayor John Hala joining us. So please plan to attend then, and then online on February 23rd with William Tipson, Rotary Peace Institutes. So thank you, everyone. Yep. So you got to be here on the 16th, Louie, to do the happy birthday and anniversary combined song. Everybody looks forward to that. We kind of glazed over it. Make sure your cell phones are off, please. I do want to make a quick announcement. We do have glass bottles now, as well as the cans that we're recycling. So next to the garbage cans and back, there is a cart. So if you could please recycle those, just put those on the cart, and we'll take care of that. Instead of plastic bottles. Sorry, I thought you said glass earlier, so that's my fault. So those are plastic, but we are recycling those, so those will get recycled. So, looks like March. If we look ahead that far, we've got an AV system upgrade here at the Plex. So we've got to kind of shift things around a little bit. It'll be a little different than normal. We're switching that March 2nd, which normally would be in person. We're switching that to the online. And then we'll be in person on March 9th right here at the Plex. And then due to spring break on the 16th, we're meeting at the club members' sites. So we're going to be taking any folks that want to host that site. If you remember last year we've done this, or last few years we've done this a few times, where come to your place of business, groups of anywhere from 6 to 10, whatever it might be, and you can showcase your business. It's either bring your own lunch, or sometimes businesses provide that. But that'll be a sign-up sheet that we'll get that started so that we can get you folks into a spot. That'll be on the 16th, which is spring break. And then online on the 23rd, and we will meet in person on the 30th for our second in-person meeting of March. So it's a little different, so keep track of that. It'll be on the website as well. And now I think, actually, honestly, I don't have a whole lot more today except to turn it over to Kevin to introduce our speaker for the day. Kevin, come on up.
Thank you, Jamie. Leah Locke is the Regional Director of the Iowa State University Office of America's Small Business Development Center here in Iowa. Her role supports Boone, Story, Marshall, and Hardin counties. As Regional Director, Leah serves as a resource and advocate for small business startups by developing financial statements, business plans, and financing applications, counseling businesses on hiring, training, and motivating employees, advising clients on marketing materials, including websites and publications. After graduating from Iowa State University, Leah spent more than 10 years working for startups and small businesses here in Ames. In her free time, Leah enjoys spending time with her family, golfing, probably not this time of year, cooking, and walking her corgi. And she's an avid Cyclone fan. Go Cyclones. I've known Leah for many years. Her and my daughter grew up together, and I'm glad to have her as our speaker today. Leah Locke.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Kevin, for the lovely introduction. I see some familiar faces. For those of you who I don't know yet, my name is Leah Locke, and like Kevin mentioned, I'm with the Small Business Development Center. So y'all are gonna test my prescription here, but I'm gonna do my best to read the slides. I think I was told I have the clicker. Cool. So, did I mess it up already? Okay, cool. Let's see, Kevin kind of already went through that. Maybe? Starting out strong? Where am I pointing this at? There we go. So the SBDC, or Small Business Development Centers, are actually a nationwide organization. So it's all 50 states plus US territories all have an office of SBDC, and then each state functions within kind of its own system. So SBDCs are funded through a cooperative agreement with the US Small Business Administration, so we are somewhat federally funded. We also get some state funding, and then we also are funded through our host institutions, which I'll touch on a little bit more later, but hence the Iowa State University tie. In addition to SBDCs, some of you may be familiar with things like SCORE. I always need to look that up before I say it out loud because it's the Society of something Retired Executives. And so it's folks who in their previous lives have had some tie to business who kind of use their retirement time to help kind of new founders or folks that are having some areas in their business that need a little bit of extra mentoring. There's also the Women's Business Center, the Veterans Business Outreach Center, among other organizations, all kind of tied around helping small businesses. Okay, so to dive in a little bit into the Iowa ecosystem, so there are 15 different regional centers across the state of Iowa. So there are essentially 15 of me, and we all have our different regions. So like Kevin mentioned, I cover Boone, Story, Marshall, and Hardin County. And then, however, we serve all 99 counties. So the hope is that no one is more than 2-ish hours from an SBDC office, but kind of depending on what they're working on, you may get paired with other directors as well. Our centers are hosted by the 3 regent universities, so Iowa State University, University of Iowa, and then University of Northern Iowa. And then we partner with 11 different community colleges across the state. Let's see if do I have this in here? Okay, so there's my map. So like I said, I'm kind of the central region here, just kind of around Ames Plus. And here are other host institutions. So again, testing my prescription here. So we're up in Fort Dodge, we're over in Cedar Rapids. We have Iowa Lakes up in Spencer, Southwest Community College down in Creston, Western Iowa Tech up in Sioux City. You name it, we're probably not far from there. So what do we do? Who do we serve? So we serve small businesses. And we go by the federal definition of that, which is 500 employees or less, which means about 96% of Iowa businesses are considered small businesses. So we work with almost anyone. Ideally, we're working with for-profit organizations. We do help certain areas of nonprofits. However, there are some really, really great resources across the state that we partner with for kind of more of that nonprofit specialty. Ideally, so they have to be based in the US and or have some tie to Iowa. So otherwise, we refer them out to our other SBDC partners. But if they're founded in Iowa, they have some sort of manufacturing here, whatever it may be, as long as they have a tie to Iowa, we can work with them. And then a NICS code is essentially just an industry code. So we can work with any federally legal industry. So there's only a couple that we can't touch, but essentially every hour of every day is a little bit different, and it keeps me on my toes and it keeps it fun. So the 10-second version of what do we help those folks with is we do no-cost confidential business counseling. So here are just some of the areas that we touch on. Again, this list could take up the rest of the presentation if I wanted to hit on everything that we do. But a lot of what I spend my time doing is kind of more of that true kind of business planning. You know, what are you working on? What's kind of got you stuck, or what's the next thing you're trying to add on? I spend a lot of my time preparing for financing opportunities, whether that be, again, kind of writing that business plan, working through financial projections, things like what are your sales going to look like, what loan options are out there, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of business growth, marketing strategies kind of ties into that. And this year more than any, I'm seeing a lot of succession planning, which has been fun, stressful at times, but you know, we work with everyone from, I think I had the best idea in the shower last night ever, how do I make this into a business, up through, hey, I'm looking at retirement. What does that mean? I don't necessarily have kids who want to take over my hardware store or whatever that may be. What do I do next? And helping the business owner recognize if that piece of you kind of moves on to someone else, what are you going to do? You know, what do you want to spend your time doing, and how can we kind of get you there? These are just some of the outside partners that we work with. A lot of different, other groups across the state, and hopefully maybe after this I can add Rotary to this list. But we spend a lot of time working closely with the Iowa Economic Development Authority out of Des Moines. They have a lot of neat kind of in-state programming for funding, as well as different grant opportunities, different resources. You name it, they probably have it. Main Street Iowa is a strong partner of ours. We work with a lot of them for different training opportunities, different just activities around Main Streets. The Iowa Secretary of State is where all the kind of business filings happen. So we work with their team very regularly, helping folks through that. The IRS, talking through taxes right now, especially. I think everyone I've ever met with in the last 4 years is emailing me last week saying, hey, can we talk taxes? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Do my best, but I'm not a tax professional. The John Papajohn centers across the state, if you're familiar with them, they do a lot of business planning and outreach, more of the student arm. So they tend to focus on the student population, but we work with them as well. And then a lot of times once their students get a little bit further along in their business idea or start nearing graduation, they'll kind of hop the fence over to us and we'll kind of take them into the community from there. But yeah, this list goes on and on. So we have a lot of really great partners that we work with across the state. So again, I kind of hit on this already, but we take everything from, hey, I think I have an idea, to business planning, to kind of who do you need to know to get this to really go, whether that be funding or just different partners in the community, up through kind of, okay, what does it mean to kind of open that door or turn on that website or start offering your services. And then just kind of reviewing that and saying, okay, did your first year go how you thought it would? Where do we need to pivot? How can we help support you going forward? How do you connect with us or get someone to connect with us? So the easiest way, because we are that no-cost service, is we do have everyone register as a client of ours. Like I said, it's no cost or anything like that. We basically just have them hop on our website and request counseling. Through that, they can select what center they want to meet with. It can either auto-populate based on the address they enter, or they're able to pick. Because I know I get some folks who are like, well, I live in Fort Dodge, but I work at Iowa State. Great. Whichever is more convenient for you is who we want you to work with. That's me. This is kind of my direct contact. And again, I'm going to fly through this pretty quickly because I want to have time for questions and have time for stories. I know I'll call out Jim in the back here. Jim hangs out with us every once in a while and does some counseling for us and helps with some of our Smart Start workshops. So if anyone's interested in kind of coming and hanging out, talk with me, talk with Jim. I think that's all I have, though. So what questions can I ask? I really want to open this up and have the opportunity for you guys to say, what did I say that didn't make sense? What additional questions do you have? I have business cards and that kind of thing if there's anyone that wants to connect with me after the fact, too.
I've got one right out of the gate. Doesn't have to be a new business. Could be existing business, correct?
Yep.
Fantastic. And then you mentioned like a succession plan at the end of possible retirement. I don't have a kid that wants to take over. Maybe it's an employee. That's another service that you
Yes.
offer up.
Yep, absolutely.
Do you get a lot of folks that come to you for that?
We do, yeah. Especially this time of life seems to be something that people are really, really kind of looking at that. I think COVID really, I don't want to say accelerated that, but I think made people realize that, thinking about what's going to happen to your business, not like when you're like, I wish this would have happened yesterday, being able to plan for that and really saying, okay, maybe 3 years down the road, 5 years down the road, what do I need to be thinking about now? Or maybe something just comes up unexpectedly and you're like, I need to switch this. I need to get out. What are some different strategies? So yes, we work extensively with that, especially this year I'm seeing.
Jean Cressy, hi.
Hi.
I have kind of multiple questions.
Okay.
One is, what's your staff look like? And that leads into then, what's your capacity? So if there are 90 whatever percent you said were around the state.
Yeah.
If you have everybody knocking on your door, how do you pick?
Sure.
Based on who your staff are?
Sure.
And does your staff then have expertise in different areas?
Yes, thank you. So our statewide staff is about 35 or so. Each center is structured a little bit differently. So my team is me, but I do have one counselor that I share with our Des Moines office. And then we see, so each office again is a little bit different. My office last year I think saw just shy of 300 clients, and that's single meetings. So if I met with any of them more than once, that's not counted in that number. So, and so we do our best. If anybody reaches out for a meeting, we try to connect with them within 24 to 48 hours for at least that initial, hey, thanks for signing up. Depending on their availability, a lot of times is kind of what determines that. They're able to set what time they want to meet. But usually within a week or two, if I'm booking more than 2 weeks out, I usually pull in that extra help to see if any other counselors are a little bit slow, or pull in my counselor from Des Moines. So the hope is that within 24 hours, you'll hear from somebody at least saying, hey, we got your inquiry, and then hopefully we can meet within 2 weeks.
Leah.
Yeah.
Allison Walter.
Hi, Allison.
So I spoke to the gal out of the Fort Dodge office when I was working for Jewel Main Street. But she had mentioned that she had been really busy working with Spencer after the flooding. Can you talk about how what kinds of things she might have been doing for that, or how you can help in that situation?
Absolutely. So I covered her office so that she could be out and about. So I did not have boots on the ground then. However, when there was the tornadoes and the flooding and all of that, that literally wiped businesses out. And so we had teams on the ground, even just giving hugs and hearing stories and passing out bottled water. And we had hotspots, and we were taking people to be able to connect with internet and get connected into things like FEMA and the Small Business Administration and their kind of relief programs. But a lot of it was just talking to folks and saying, I know you don't know what you need right now, but we're here. Can we lift boxes? Can we figure out somewhere for you to say? I mean, people lost their businesses, their homes, their you name it. So a lot of it was, our staff would call crying because they're like, I heard her story, and and we're just like, we know we're not going to fix it, but we need you to know that we're here. That this is who we're here to serve. This is who we're here to help. And we just kept going back. I think that was the big thing that kind of set us apart is we were there day one, but we were also there, month 2 and 5 and 6. And a lot of those clients we're still working with. Some of them we've seen them reopen. Some of them we've helped move. A lot of them we helped shift to selling online if their brick and mortar was getting worked on or whatnot. And I think that was another cool thing that we were able to do. And perhaps silver lining of COVID is a lot of people were able to shift to that online really quickly. And so we were able to go out and teach some different classes and those kinds of things around selling online, spinning up websites really quickly, being able to sell on. There's a really cool website, if y'all aren't familiar with it, called Shop Iowa. It's picture it as kind of the eBay for Iowa. So it's all small businesses or makers from Iowa, and they can sell their products through there for no additional fees or anything like that. Everything comes back to the business. So we did a lot of workshops on that about becoming a vendor on Shop Iowa. So yeah, luckily or unluckily, I didn't have to go boots on the ground up there, but yeah, our team was very, very, very involved in all of that. Yeah, thanks, Allison.
Leah, John Christie, you mentioned funding sources as federal, state, and then host institution.
Correct.
What's the breakdown percentage-wise, and how has that changed, if at all, in the last 10 years?
I'm not sure off the top of my head on the breakdown of that, but if you want to get with me later, I can certainly get you those numbers. Unless Jim knows. I'm putting you on the spot here again, Jim. And it has not changed. We have been very, very flat funded for a long, long time. And we just kind of do our best. And sometimes we get creative and see if we can find other, community partners or those kinds of things where we can kind of partner on perhaps a specific project, something like the flooding, can sometimes open up additional opportunities. But yeah, we've been flat funded for a long time.
As Iowa's population demographics are shifting more and more to these urban corridors, do you have any observations on what's happening to small businesses in some of these more rural communities as, the demographics keep changing?
Yeah, it's tough. And I think that's a neat thing with us is the fact that we're so spread out and able to work in all 99 counties. Is we put just as much effort into kind of those rural counties as we do, Des Moines and Ames. So we very much try to meet the business owner where they're at and bring them the resources that they need. I think I am seeing a little bit of shift, which is interesting, into the younger generations wanting to bring those services back home. They'll move home and kind of work on refurbishing Main Street and those kinds of things. So, it's been an interesting kind of push and pull over the years. And I think one thing that we just try to help out with is being able to bring those resources into those rural communities and help them feel like they have just as many resources as places like Ames or Des Moines or Iowa City.
Dave Carlisle, do you have any stories about how you guys functioned during COVID as far as helping people out when things all went to hell?
Sure. Another one that luckily or unluckily I joined shortly after COVID. So, but we were working 24/7 was my understanding. A big role in or a big piece of our role was just pushing information out. I think we had at least a weekly newsletter, if not bi-weekly, just trying to get information out. I know the team was working, making calls, just checking in on people, seeing how folks were doing. We helped a lot with the PPP loans. So yeah, I just,
Personal payroll
protection
program.
Thank you. Yes. So folks that had employees that may have had to lay them off. So that was an SBA program, I believe, through them. So yes, I've heard a lot of war stories. Luckily or unluckily, did not have to be necessarily involved at the time. But we're still seeing a lot of things of people who were able to shift to different business models or add on new opportunities with their businesses because of COVID.
Leah, I'm sure confidentiality is probably something that you have to deal with, but is there one or two stories that you can give an example of success stories that maybe you've been involved with?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. One of my biggest ones lately that was quite the journey, but a lot of fun to finally see it come across the finish line was Stepping Stones Child Development Center down in Slater. If you haven't seen it, it is gorgeous. Liz started that in 2025. She had an in-home daycare center or daycare for 6 or 8 years, and then had been working on it even with my predecessor to try to go into a full licensed center. Took her 3 or 4 years, maybe even more, to kind of really get all that lined up and opened a almost 200 slot childcare center down in Slater. she's actually coming with me on Wednesday down to the state capitol, and we're going to go kind of talk with our legislators and whatnot. That's kind of another piece of what we do is we go share our stories and you know, just be able to introduce our clients to show kind of what our impact is. So that was a challenging one, but a really fun one because that ended up being over $1 million project for Slater there. Trying to think, who else? Treats on a Leash in Ames, that was one of mine. Again, I think they started with my predecessor when Barb and Michael owned it, but then with the transition of the sale, that was one that we worked with them on. Cornbread was a big one of ours, again, prior to my time, but that was a fun one. But yeah, you name it. I mean, there's ag tech coming out of the university all the time. There's, kind of more the mom and pop cafe, Main Street type situations. The farmer in the field working on some invention that he thought was really cool that his buddy down the road was like, well, I want one. And now we're trying to figure out how to make it into a business. So, like I said, every hour of every day is a little bit different. I'll be working on med tech that's way over my head in the morning and then trying to open up a cafe, coffee shop in the afternoon. So it's a lot of fun. Definitely leaning into my other partners, my other, directors across the state. Coming back to your question, this is a good, so yes, we all kind of have our specialties or our backgrounds, I would say, which is neat to be able to pull in and say, hey, you're really strong in human resources, or you're really strong in kind of like the legal side of business, or you have a really strong background in biotech, med tech, that kind of thing, or software engineering. So we definitely lean into each other and say, you know, hey, do you have any similar clients that the clients can chat about, or can you just take your expertise and jump in and kind of co-counsel with me? So we definitely lean into those areas as well.
Okay. Tammy Colbeck, Stevens Auditorium. I'm just headed back to the COVID question. SBDC helped us a lot because of the PPP, but then we were a shuttered venue operators grant, an SFOG grant. And I had to sign up for a SAM registration for the first time because VenueWorks of Ames was able to get that grant because the university couldn't.
Oh.
And so that was a long, long process. SFOG didn't even open up till April of 2021, and we had already been closed for a year. But SBDC was very helpful in being that sounding guard when I couldn't get to the federal government.
Sure. Cool. Thanks for that.
Randy Olson, Iowa Limestone Producers Association. You mentioned earlier that succession planning has been a big part of recent work of yours. How far do you go with a client in that process? So they might identify that they want to get out, they don't have a next generation. Are you helping vet potential purchasers? Are you just talking them through things they need to be thinking about? What degree of involvement do you get in that next step for them?
So definitely just kind of the brainstorming, the coaching through it. However, I've had situations where they've came with a buyer or know of a buyer, and that's when I'll pull in another director and say, okay, you work with the buyer, I'll work with the seller, and basically see if we can meet in the middle, because I don't want that conflict of kind of working with both. But yeah, we've definitely had it where we'll have two directors working with both a buyer and a seller and kind of see if we can get the deal done, for lack of a better term. But we're not attorneys. We can't give legal advice. So we can do the best we can to at least get them to a point where it's kind of like, okay, take this package to whether it be a business broker or an attorney and kind of hopefully at least get them part of the way there. So that they at least kind of know what they're asking or what they're looking at, or is the number that's being thrown out even reasonable. So we kind of do our best to at least get them partially, if not most of the way there. And then a lot of times we'll recommend, attorneys or that kind of thing to really get them across the finish line.
Hi, I'm Carl Byrne. Do you work with any production ag startups start trying to grow something besides corn and soybeans?
Yes.
Can you give some examples?
Ooh. I think with my confidentiality, I can't give any examples right now. Those ones are very tight to the chest. A lot of times those even have some IP around them. So unfortunately, I don't think I have any examples right now, but yes, we can work with those.
Hi, Sheldon Spencer. Just kind of curious. So you may have already said this. Who pays your paycheck? Is it federal, or are you paid by the government?
Yep, it's a mix. So I'm technically an employee of Iowa State University, but they get some grant funding through both the state and federal as well to kind of supplement that.
Okay, so SBDC is a federal program?
Correct.
All right, and do you have any sense of the future of SBDC?
We do have strong partnerships. We've been a really well-recognized organization for a long time. We've been around since the 80s. We're always a little bit nervous just because nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow or next week or anything like that. But so far, we've been told that just keep up the good work and that we're doing our best at this point.
So on a federal level, SBDC is under what department?
SBA, Small Business Administration.
And that's under what department? Commerce?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know, I just done reading the book about barons and how the finances in this country are being more and more consolidated into large organizations. I'm hopeful that there'll be a future for small operations, and appreciate what you do.
Yeah, thank you. And, that's one of the reasons why if I'm not meeting with a client, I'm out doing this, spreading the word of what we do, being able to help clients, being able to share our stories of the folks we work with so that people recognize, the good work that we hope we are doing. And a lot of us joke that we're the best kept secret because since we are federally funded, there's only certain ways we can market ourselves. So a lot of it is going out and meeting with community members, meeting with business owners, meeting with, folks who can say, have you met with, this gal yet? Or I'm going to give your card to this person. So by all means, throw my card into the wind, friends, family, enemies, send them my way. Happy to meet with them. Always happy to chat.
Didn't the Iowa director get moved up to the...
Yeah, yep. So our state director, Lisa Shimkat, just got pulled to D.C. About a year ago now. So she's out in D.C., it was a bit of a surprise. I don't even think she necessarily saw it coming, but she got the offer and couldn't pass it up. But that's been really great for us, actually, because she knows Iowa more than anybody, and so she's been a really big advocate for us and being able to say, no, I built that program and other states are doing it too and that kind of thing. So her being really, really familiar with the structure of SBDCs has been helpful. So she's over in... field operations for the Small Business Administration. I can't remember exactly what her title's, like 19 words long. But yeah, so that's been a cool opportunity. She's come back a couple times just to chat with us and that kind of thing. Her husband still owns a car dealership up in Fort Dodge. So she still has really strong Iowa ties. So she's been a good advocate for us as well, which we hope just kind of keeps us top of mind.
Jamie asked me to comment, excuse me, Jim Patton. Jamie asked to comment about how I know you and how we've worked together. It really started back when I was in banking and got to know the SCORE organization. Has anybody been part of SCORE or know what it is? Senior Corps of Retired Executives. Basically, it was probably more active 15 or 20 years ago than it is now in Iowa. But people like ourselves who either have retired or near retirement in your profession or your business wanted to be volunteers to help others. And so as a lender, I just thought that was a curious concept. So I got to know and work with SCORE in several different ways. And we put on workshops. I got to know Lisa. She at that time was part of the Iowa Central College organization. And so that's kind of how that whole connection came about. When I moved here to Ames, one of the things that I've always sensed living out away from Ames was that things like the SBDC and others were particularly helpful for people who were coming out of the university or people who had just gained knowledge in technology and wanted to start things. But what about the person who still wants to make cookies? What about the person who wants to have a home business? So Lisa and I got this thing going that we would have what we call Smart Start workshops. So every fall and every spring on Saturday, and that's an interesting story by itself, we would have workshops that are free. Anybody that's interested in a small business or think you are, you're welcome to come. We provide lunch, it's all day long, and there's no cost. Well, the first pushback was Saturdays, we don't work on Saturdays. I said, but people who are working, who might want to start a business, are available on Saturdays. Oh yeah, hadn't thought about that. See what I mean? Sometimes you need that outside person to tell you how to look at that. So these are always on Saturdays. We bring in typically about a half a dozen local businesses or professionals as our program. We have a lender, we have an attorney, we have somebody in public relations or marketing, and we give them about 40 minutes to tell about what the, not to promote their business, but what do they do and how can that field impact you as you start a small business. And sometimes I'm asked to lead off the program, and I tell people, now the reason you're here, when you leave today, should have two outcomes. Number one, you should know more about how to start a small business, maybe some people you could talk to, maybe some new resource people. Or number two, this is too complicated. I don't want to be in a small business. And both outcomes are okay. So I still stay involved just because I love small businesses. I think it is really the health of our communities, and I think you all agree. And it's just a way that I can keep in touch. So thank you.
March 28th is our next Smart Start out at the Research Park, if anyone's interested.
And the last time in the fall, we had 65 people there. So it wasn't just, one or two. We have parents come. We have relatives. We have maybe a next door neighbor who might want to partner. I mean, you just never know who's going to be there. And a big share of international students, too.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Jim.
Yes, thank you, Jim. Any other questions? Oh, Kent's got one.
Kent Frankenfeld. So we know your goal, but starting small businesses is obviously an exceptionally difficult enterprise. The negative side or success rate, what do you experience with new entrepreneurships and new businesses? Because Main Street's a tough go for how long, 3 years, 5 years, until you can classify them as successful?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's one thing that we really focus on, and just trying to be that support person, because owning a small business can be really lonely. A lot of times it's just you, maybe your spouse, maybe you have one employee if you're lucky, but a lot of times we really focus on kind of almost those micro enterprises, 1 to 5 employees. We have bigger clients too, but I think those are the ones that we're happy to just be as involved as they need, just to kind of be that support person. And I like to think at least that, if you're working with an SBDC counselor, you have a little bit of a better, survival rate, for lack of a better term, because especially the first year is very, very hard. If you make it to 3, you're doing pretty good. If you're making it 5, you did it. Is how a lot of people see it. So having those SBDC counselors just to even support you and helping you know what you should do next, or having that person to turn to. I mean, I've had people in my office in tears. I've had, high fives and hugs and, you name it, I've seen it. So I think just being able to be that support person is huge, as far as just feeling like they have even someone to turn to, because it is so hard and so lonely.
Anyone else? Perfect. A round of applause for Leah here. Thank you so much. I've got a book here for you.
Okay.
So you like giving your dog, a corgi, some walks. So I'm assuming bugs might be out. Cats, dogs, do you have a choice? We got a book here for a 2-year-old on their checkup. So if you could sign the back, we'll be giving that to a 2-year-old. So thank you so much again. Thank you. Let's put her contact information back up there in case anyone wants to grab that. And I'd like to see just by a raise of hands, who has owned a small business or currently owns a small business? Okay, leave your hands up. Those that manage are upper management of a small business, raise your hands as well. Yeah, everybody, your hand up if you've ran a business, own a business, work at a small business, less than 500 employees. So certainly there's a lot of us that are impacted by this, and we appreciate all you do for those new folks. And did you want to get a picture of all that? So Raise those hands again. Thank you again. Thank you again. I guess that was my cares right there. It was just to see who in the audience has experienced that and living it firsthand. All those that are along the steps and along the way for who you're helping out in them. So we appreciate that, and hopefully, as we talked about a little bit, hopefully funding continues with that, and you don't have to worry about that. So, yeah, I think with that, we're going to go ahead and have everyone stand, and we'll do the four-way test together. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you, everyone. Have a great week.